So how do you differentiate the crisis we're facing today with the ones we faced in the past?
Well, I think what was the past crisis? Today, the crisis is more a political crisis, I think, than economic crisis. The economy is still growing and booming, depending on where you are, America, if you look at the United States, they're still, in a way, booming compared to Europe, But Europe is right now hindered by the crisis we have, which is a political crisis, both in terms of relations between individual members of European Union. But now, as we decided to support Ukraine, we are in a real crisis vis-à-vis Russia. And this crisis has impact on behavior of the individual companies and also supply management, because if you have to move, like Germany, who was depending on the imports from Russia and now is trying to move out, it's a complete shift, from how to provide supply of energy and so on to Germany compared to before. So it's a really dramatic change. But it is more a political crisis, which we have to hope that the politicians will solve. Purchasing must just make sure that, we find solutions to new situations. Like I just reading that Germany is rapidly increasing now the supply from this liquid, whatever it is, as they are reducing the imports from Russia. So this was an impact of political crisis on behavior of purchasing or whatever of the behavior of individual countries, even when we are sure the supplies we need. So I think this crisis which is there will remain, because it is a crisis of two competing group of countries, which is the Western countries led by United States, let's say the capitalistic countries, and then what I would still call the communist countries led by China, and hanging on is Russia, because they're more and more depending on China. And here the question is how the other BRIC countries will behave. Right now, the BRIC countries are trying to set up a real option to the Western countries. And I think this is an important development which will have impact also on behavior of individual companies working at that markets. Where will India go? Will we go with China and Russia? Or will we go with United States and Europe? Or will we try to stay somewhere in the middle? So these are strategic questions which we have to consider when we develop and reflect about our purchasing strategies. So I think it's much more demanding than it was before, because now the world is getting in a way much more polarized than before, with these 2 or 3 big chunks of countries playing very different roles because they have different interests.
What do you think today the role of procurement when we buy energy on raw material? Is it specific, or should we change the strategies? Or
what does it mean, change of strategy? Just the change of supplier or supply market and so on? It is a question how flexible, what's the level of flexibility we have in dealing with inflation. And I think this can only be answered product by product and country by country, by sourcing country and sourcing country. I don't think there's a common answer. It should be always tailor-made.
So you mean that you cannot get a global point of view, global strategy? It should be split per market, geographic market.
Yeah. It should be market specific, yeah, okay. And product and market specific, yeah. Looking in longer term, because sometimes inflation, is it something which will just a year or two and then will go down, or is it something like, I don't know, high inflation countries who are there forever, like Argentina is a high inflation country. Do I want to be there? And if I have to be there, what can I do?